Hey guys, welcome back. As you saw in the last couple videos, I finally got my car running and it was off the jack stands, able to drive, 5-speed swap, feels great. It's back on the jack stands so we can get the suspension right. So if you look, everything is still factory. Got factory arms, factory coilovers. So we're gonna install some MaxSpeed coilovers and MaxSpeed arms. So I want to give a massive shout out to Shay from MaxSpeed for reaching out to me and sponsoring me on all of my suspension setup. I can't thank you guys enough for hooking me up with this stuff. I'm excited to put it on. I've actually put other eBay coilovers on, like for example my WRX, just like a budget coilover so I can get the car, you know, stanced the way I wanted to. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I got these because, I mean, I've ran eBay coilovers before. My 2S14, so this one and the white one, they both are on BC Racing. Obviously, it's a much more expensive coilover. On this Z, I will be daily driving it more often than not, so I was planning on going that route in the future. But when Shay reached out to me and said that they had these for me that I could throw on, I mean, I definitely jumped at that chance just because, like I said, I've ran eBay coilovers in the past and they're still on my WRX right now, which is about 3 years old. The coilovers, it's been about 3 years since I've had those on and have no issues with them. So I don't track the car, I don't go crazy stance on them. So they're, you know, I needed something to lower the car and they work great. So this is actually their T6 line, so a lot better as far as like their entry-level coilover. And you can definitely tell just from the way the build is, it looks like, I mean, they look legitimately like good coilovers as far as the actual fit and finish. I'm gonna put the specs on the screen here. They are 24-way damper adjustability, and yeah, they look really good. So again, huge shout out. I do have a discount code for, I believe it's 10% off, so I will make sure to leave that on the screen as well as in the description as well. So they also hooked me up with all the arms, front and rear. So if you look, I have the rear camber arm, front camber arms. Looks like the toe arms. These ones are the caster adjustability tension rods, and the rear toe arms. So I'm going to be replacing, if you saw, the tension rods, obviously the coilover itself. I started off by taking off the 10mm for the brake line. That's pretty much it. And then you have a 17 down here, and then obviously the 314 nuts at the top in the engine bay. So that's going to take care of the tension rod and the coilover. We are doing the upper camber arms as well. So the best way that I've been able to do this is I will remove this assembly right here so it can fall forward, and then it'll give you access to the 4 bolts for the camber plate. Alright, and then the main tension rod bolt is also a 17. Alright, so that is out, and here she is with the old, and soon in to be with the new. Alright, so I loosened those plates in the rear but I'm not going to take it off all the way yet, just because I do want to put the coilover on and the front tension rod, just because it's a pain when all the arms are off. It makes it so you have to like really move this. I mean, obviously this whole knuckle assembly is not super light, so by having the coilover and the tension rod on, it'll give you some kind of guidance when we put this back, so we're not having to go like 3 different axes. But okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna align my tension rods to be similar to the new one. That way it's close to the same spec, and then I'm gonna dial in how low we want to go for the first initial drop. Alright, so all you're going to do is get the this end on first, and then it'll swing in this area, and you can kind of press it in just a little bit, or if you need to, put it in the general area and just hit it with a mallet, but it will get in there. And if you look, because we aligned it prior, and they get really super close to where it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna get the bolt back in there, and then we're gonna tighten down over here, and then I can tighten these out. All right, so when you get your coilovers out, just make sure you do get the right side for the corner you're working on. So if you look, I took my stock strut out, and you can see where the actual brake line mounts. You'll see the other one will be obviously facing the other side. Now, before I put this in, there's a couple things that I do. One, I like to put some anti-seize on the actual threads below, just because it's kind of a pain if you ever want to adjust it again. Not that I really plan on it. Right after I get it done, I usually get everything dialed in, but just in case, it's nice to have that in there, which I've already done. And also making sure your preload is set. So I always back these collars out until it's loose, and I'll snug it up and then do a couple turns so that there's a little bit of tension. That way you get the max amount of your coil. And then you can kind of tell, it's hard to tell how much it's going to lower the car, just because you don't know how much of these springs are going to compress. So I just kind of make sure whatever I do on this side, I match it with the other coilover. And it did look kind of low, so I'm going to back these out a little bit. So maybe about an inch or 2 lower, and we'll start from there. And last but not least, I highly recommend getting these paper gaskets for the coilovers, so that way you have no issues with it squeaking later down the road. I took out the upper camber arm, and I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this up, and then we're gonna match it up just the same way that we did before. This one doesn't really matter. I know that one goes, let's see here, one goes opposite of the other. I think it's this way, like this. Yep, so just make sure you get the orientation right. So I thought they were kind of like, one was this way and one was this way, but no matter how I did it, the best for the actual, like for them to line up, is just them being on the same distance. I don't know why it's off-centered though, so maybe I should look into it a little bit more before I throw this in. But yeah, there has to be a reason why it's off-centered like that. But when I place it on top of each other, they line up perfectly. So I don't know. If you guys know, leave it in the comments. Alright guys, so there is an order of operations when you put this back in to make your life a lot easier. So obviously tension rods in, keep that, make sure you do that first. And then what you want to do is when you remove your upper camber arm, you should be able to move this onto your camber arm without any kind of added jack or any other pressure. You just slide it on, a little bit of massaging, and then you get this on. Once this is on, then you put your coilover at the bottom of the knuckle, do not put it up here yet because you'll have a hard time trying to slip it on the mount. And if you notice, they did add that spacer to that side because that way you actually do have the clearance that you need for your actual suspension assembly. All right, so everything is tightened up and ready to go. So I just double checked all the bolts again. Make sure you put your brake line bracket bolt back on the coilover. I opted to move the arm of the camber arm closer to the rear, so that way it stays away from the what do you call it, coilover. So I don't think it matters. I know that on when I had my R32, I had to flip them, so like one side was opposite the other. So I don't know if on the 300ZX it's just not the same, and you just put on the same side, but that's the only way it looked like it would work. So, all right, and just like that, the other side is all done. Got the coilover in, tension rods in, and upper camber arm. Now for the rears. So the rear is, I think, less fun than the front, just because you got to remove all this plastic stuff. To give you guys a little tip here, I saw some videos where they just kind of removed it from the actual main plastic here and then just kind of pulled this back. I highly recommend just pulling the center one first. It's like 2 screw plastic heads that you just screw out, and then you'll basically see all the bolts as you go around. You can't miss it. And you'll see like one up here, one at the bottom. Then you'll be able to pull this back and you'll see one behind here, just like this, that holds this side. So again, just go from the center, work your way out, and you'll find each one. You'll find one at the bottom here, one right here, one over here on this side, one up here, one in this little plastic cubby, and that's it. This should all come out, and then you should see the top of the strut. All right, so for the rears, I'm not going to go too far into depth, but pretty straightforward. Same thing that we did in the front. With the arms, just make sure you match them up with your stock arms, and that way you'll be close to the original spec, and then obviously you'll be good enough to drive for an alignment. But yeah, so I'm going to remove the arms, each bolt from here. There is a camber adjustment at the bottom, or at on the camber arm, and also on the toe arms. So you're going to have to either push them all the way in when you tighten it, or pull them all the way out. So whatever you would want to do. I have adjustable arms, so in the end it doesn't really matter because there's going to be full adjustability. And then of course you have your bolt at the bottom for your strut. But yeah, pretty straightforward, and I'm just going to use a little of video magic here and get this done. And just like that, got everything on. Now this side was a pain because this, I think, happened to me on my S14. I can't remember. It looks like there's a lot more space, but because of the fuel tube over here, the bolt, the way that they had it, well, it came in from this side. So obviously they assembled it on the subframe and then put the subframe into the car, because there was no, even removing this plastic shield, I still didn't have close to enough space. I needed to remove the bolt. So what I had to do is cut the bolt head off with a, it's gonna be hard to get a circular, like a cutoff wheel in there. So I use a Sawzall with a metal blade. So had to cut that and then put it in this way with a new bolt. So that's there. Upper camber arm, tension rod, or sorry, upper camber arm. Okay, so yep, tension rod's on, upper camber arm, and the toe arm, and of course the coilover itself. So this side's done. I just got to do the other side. It does look kind of nice. I wish the blue kind of matched, but whatever. All right, guys, everything is installed, and everything's all buttoned up for now. I do plan on adjusting everything at the end, but I just want to get an idea where we're at. So. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it gives you guys some insight on, a budget-friendly coilover. It has been about 3 or 4 months since recording all that footage, so I've had actually some time to, drive the car and, put it through its paces as a daily driver. And I have to say, if I wasn't sponsored and they didn't send me this for free, I honestly would still be very happy, especially for, I think the retail value of these coilovers are around $400. And of course, they're a step above the least expensive coilovers I've seen, like around $200-ish, $300. The build quality, the fit and finish, and then the most important part, the ride quality, is actually, I'm actually pretty happy with it. And when I say they're a nice coilover, I don't mean just for a $400 coilover they're a nice coilover. You would never have guessed if I took you for a ride or if you drove the car and didn't tell you what the suspension was. I don't think you'd ever guess that they were, a budget coilover. They feel great. So again, thank you so much, Shay and MaxpeedingRods, for hooking me up. And I don't know why I kept saying max speed. That was in my head, so I apologize. MaxpeedingRods. So with everything said and done, just to be 100% honest, I ended up selling the 300ZX. So the Z is gone. Not because I didn't want to keep it in my lineup. I definitely would love to have that car. It's just there are some other projects that I do want to bring to the channel. Specifically in FD. So I've been actively searching for one that it has the right mileage on it, has the the right exterior, just waiting for the right one to pop up. So when it does, I want to be ready. I want to have the space for it, and I want to have some funds put aside for that project. So yeah, hopefully Jenny, you enjoy it, because I built that car with the purpose of keeping it for a very long time. So I'll be leaving her Instagram handle right here on the screen. If you guys want to give her a follow, check out what she does with the car and how she enjoys it. I am happy that it is still within the friend group, so that way when we do meets or do cruises or whatnot, we'll be able to still see that car and all the beautiful work I did to it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We got a lot coming in regards to the Green S14. We're literally right on the cusp of getting that started. And I also have a WRX bug eye that I am going to be swapping with a JDM EJ. So that's coming soon. I know I haven't really had the WRX on my channel. I've had that car for almost 2 years now, and the motor went out, so it's kind of been sitting. We're going to fix that, get that running, and yeah. With that being put out there, Shay, if you're watching this, I may need some coilovers and some suspension bits for the 0203 WRX. So if you can hook me up, that'd be awesome. Anyways, thank you again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.